morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. The time is now 5:30, and we're going to call this meeting to order. It has been duly posted as required by state law, and we do have a quorum. We have Commissioner Lopez appearing via Zoom and everyone else here in person. Ask everyone to stand as we start with the invocation. Heavenly Father, today we come to you asking for you to preside over this meeting. Lord, every day we serve the people of Harlingen, but we know the most important person to serve is you. Allow us the opportunity to show your greatness to the community. We ask that you continue to keep us safe, help us to do our job, knowing that you are standing with us and protecting us. We ask for your guidance and wisdom as we do the work tasked upon us as public servants. Allow us to exercise good judgment in all our decisions, and allow those around us to have good judgment as well. In your mighty name we pray, amen.
Amen. Amen.
Now the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mark, I'll ask you to read the conflict of interest, please.
Yes, ma'am. Under state law, a conflict of interest exists if a council member or certain members of that person's family has a qualifying financial interest in an agenda item. Members with a conflict of interest cannot participate in the discussion nor vote on the agenda item. Are there any known conflicts of interest to disclose at this time?
Number 9 for me.
None.
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 And none for me. Right. And we will now move on to citizen communication. Just remind everyone that during citizen communication, you are allotted 3 minutes. When you approach the podium, I ask that you state your name and identify yourself, and then identify which agenda item, if there is an agenda item that you wish to speak on, and if not, just speak in general. In addition to that, just a friendly reminder that we do not engage in a back and forth. Public comment is to hear what it is that you have to say, and not that we don't want to speak to you, but the fact is that we are here just to hear your concerns and thoughts. So with that being said, do we have anyone signed up for public comment, Amanda?
Yes, ma'am, we have 5. And the first one is Ruben de la Rosa, and topic is rezoning from single family to multi-family lots on Howard Dixieland Heights Subdivision.
Okay, great. Mr. De La Rosa?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Ruben de la Rosa. I live at 2502 Schaffner Lane. I'm here to let you all know that we're against the rezoning of the Howard's Dixieland Heights subdivision. We're not against the single family members. We're not against the houses, but we are against any rental properties on that division. Today, we have several citizens that live in that area. Would you all please stand up? Thank you. These citizens are here to protest that they are against any rental properties on this plot that's trying to be developed. Again, we're not against the housing. We welcome any homes that are going to be built there. There was a meeting last Monday. Some of these citizens were there. Some questions were asked to the commissioner and to the developer. The developer was unable to answer some of the questions that were asked him about the rental properties that he is predicting to put on there. So as we stand here today, and I know you're going to be making a decision on item number 4, we here again are against the multifamily rezoning. Thank you, and thank you for all the work that you do for us.
Thank you, Mr. De La Rosa.
Second one is Victor Villar, and it's a public hearing item number 4.
Thank you. Mr. Liao?
Are you going to have public comment on number 4? Or is it, I don't see it listed on here.
We had a public hearing at the last meeting.
Okay, so that counted.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Victor Leal, and I live at 2225 West Arbor. Tonight, you have a difficult decision. On one hand, you decide to allow business to expand, while on the other, you follow the wishes of citizens. Both come with lasting results. Do you side with the citizens and make doing business in Harlingen difficult while keeping, or do you side with the citizens and keep the aesthetics of that neighborhood intact? If you keep the neighborhood intact, you end up alienating the citizens, and if you go the other way, the businesses are impacted by these types of decisions. The proposed patio homes are located on the north side of this property, which allows for additional multifamily units to be built between the north side of this property and Garrett Road, because at that point, you'll have same type, side by side. If we continue to grow, we're going to need more houses. And so I'm not objecting to any type of housing. What I'm objecting is to this. I've sat here, and we've had to make decisions. And the decisions we had to make had long-lasting effects. For example, we needed a stop sign behind the H-E-B on P Street. There is no provision for a stop sign in the middle of a busy street. We made the decision, and today we have something that's non-conforming. Now from here on in, if somebody needs a stop sign, they can go back to that location and say, you've done it before, we can do it again. So my whole thought process here is we need to consider, by doing this mixed use, is it something that we want to happen, or are we going to allow this to happen, and then going forward, we've already allowed it once before. I'm not speaking for or against. I'm asking y'all to think about what can happen. The proposed site is directly across the street from Dixieland Park and HCISD Baseball Park. I know at least one commissioner here is very familiar with that area because we have a high school there. Well, go out there when high school is being let out. Go out there in the morning when a parent is trying to rush their child to class, and you will see people going at a very high rate of speed. When I was a commissioner, the corner of Garrett and Dixieland Road had no real control. Had a stop sign, only one side. We now have a four-way stop there. What I'm asking for is this. Please consider that if you allow this to happen, the speed limit from where this subdivision is to the south city limit. And one thing I do want to mention before I go further. When I was on commission, we had something like this. I would take the time, it didn't matter what the district was, because when I was elected, I represented the whole city. I hope everyone here went out to that location and is very familiar with that location. It's 45 miles an hour from the subdivision all the way to the south city limit. And so you're going to have people that know it's 45, they're going to stop at Garrett and dale gas. And we're going to have an accident because you have a public park there and you have the baseball field. So if you're going to do this, let's think about the greater good. Think about reducing the speed limit to 35. And I'm picking 35 on for a reason. We don't put speed humps at 35. We only put speed humps at 30. Think about what Weslaco and Brownsville is doing. Video cameras that record people's speed. I'm not talking about issuing a citation. I'm talking about awareness. A person goes through there, they're going 45, 50 miles an hour, the camera goes off and says, you're going, boom. What does PD have? They have a visual knowing who the person was and the license plates. You start getting a habitual, maybe this commission can pass an ordinance that allows PD to go knock on somebody's door and say, we have a problem here. I'm thinking about the fact that we have a walking trail that will soon exit right on Dixieland Road. You're going to have walkers along that highway. And I call it a highway because it's 4 lanes. So my only concern to you gentlemen and lady tonight is this. Think before we go forward. I don't want to delay what Mr. Elizardi is trying to do, but going forward, once that subdivision happens, Just look at the Google Earth and look how much vacant land is available and think about the impact that we're going to have once more homes are built. Not against the homes. What I am against is the fact that we're going forward without a lot of thought process to what's going to happen on this street. And with that, I've gone over my 3 minutes. I thank you guys. I haven't been here in 2 years, and hopefully you won't get to see me again, but I just thought I would add my 2 cents to this. And the one thing I've always said, if you're going to say something, make something positive. So my positive to you guys is please do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leal.
The next one is Ron Lozano, 2410 Riverside Drive.
Mr. Lozano?
As that admission that he went over, and you don't get a citation, but they go visit your home, I'm not sure he gave you any kind of right direction at the end that was positive. But the awful mess that Gabe Gonzalez and our estimable mayor have created is tragic for a youngster. Back in the last century, Gabe of San Benito worked for City Hall, a politician who was in this very room 48 hours ago. Wanted him gone. I'd never spoken to Gabe. This powerful politician and I, along with others, met almost every morning. So I, Ron Lozano, prevented Gabe's departure from government in this county. What a mistake that was. He lied about his progeny, who is no longer a kid and is quite capable of telling the truth. And at a restaurant on the island during Christmas season, I merely greeted verbally with a salutation of the season, and the son, as a human being, mutually responded. And that was what made Gabe go ballistic for the last 15 years. Does he even know his son speaks honestly? Valley Morning Star, letter to the editor, so irked a public figure like Gabe, Mayor Sepulveda, that she confronted an invalid who, and without evidence, accused a Vela, and I'm talking about those Velas, federal judge and so forth, a Vela family member and a former colleague, as just asserted, just right now, a former colleague of y'all, that he did not author the piece. To her credit, she has indicated, I'm absolved of having written it, and that she is correct. Though as of 3 hours ago, she knows that the United States Supreme Court ruled on June 27th, the rigid criteria of New York Times versus Sullivan has been bolstered, accusing me of harassment because she doesn't keep up with current law. And she's a public figure, as are the rest of you up there. We heard about Emperor, a mayor that wears no clothes, seeks no questions directed by us, the Harlingenites. She doesn't want to be questioned. She confronted an invalid. She puts her husband, according to what you saw on YouTube, it's termed mayor wellness, so I get to appoint everybody. And that was based on a meeting yesterday at noon. That board has already spent over $500,000 of our taxpayer money, and the bulk of it went for a $429,000 and plus in expenses, and her spouse has no clue whatsoever for what the $409,000 was. Her probativeness should be directed at the Bentonville junkets. Prepajal missed the mark, as she asserts. It's a family junkets paid by the Harlingen taxpayers with no return or a clue as to what is the benefit of all these family junkets. Parks and Recreation should dismiss Armando and Crystal Cantu, and even Javier Mendez if he can't find his integrity. Gracias. And thank you also for letting me go over Amanda.
Thank you, Mr. Lozano.
The next one is Raymond Reyes, 706 Nanchester Drive.
Mr. Reyes?
Raymond Reyes.
Let's not make it a habit of going over.
No, God
since,
forbid. No, I got too much
know.
on my agenda, not
I've-
just you guys
I've
are busy.
created precedent
I'm
here.
busy as well. So, Well, I didn't know about all this other stuff that's going on. I mean, I've been gone dealing with other things, Austin, McAllen, Cameron County. It's a very interesting world out there that I'm in. So I will say, as always, that there needs to be a check and balance in place. Not everybody's innocent, of course. Not everybody's guilty. There's a lot of assumptions. As my grandmother used to say, assumptions are the mother of all evils. I know this very well because when I deal with corporate entities as they expand in the internet world, they assume there's compatibility with companies they buy out. That's the wrong assumption. Usually costs them billions of dollars. That's when I get to come in and be a hero. So, we just need to listen to what's actually going on. Use our integrity. It goes in a reflection on our character. Doesn't matter if you're an administrator, you're a lawyer, you're just a blue-collar worker, a white-collar worker, an executive, whatever the case may be. The right thing is the right thing. You get lost, you go down the wrong path because you get exposed to all these other things that you're not used to. I've been down that road, trust me. My father did very, very, very well coming from Mexico, 25 businesses when he passed. I got thrown into the loop, had to meet all these interested individuals. My family was very politically connected, The list goes on and on, from Henry B. Gonzalez, Lloyd Benson, all the top dogs at the time. So I just say, use your common sense and stuff, because mainly that's the key, to do the right thing. Because if not, you will be caught. This much I can assure you. I've actually done very well at doing things like that. I mean, it's just, I like to see the right things done, because everybody here in the United States works for what they get. And the responsibility for the elected officials is to do the right things for the right reasons. And nobody likes to see their money get wasted. It should be maximized with the best results and the best intentions, is all I'm saying. I mean, I'm a businessman, so I don't just throw money away, though my wife would probably care to differ at times, but that's just the way it is. So we take the good with the bad, and let's just try to move Harlingen forward on a positive note. I mean, you're not going to make everybody happy. That's just life. Life is life. It doesn't really care how you feel. It's going to move forward every day. But as long as we do the best thing we can with what we got, we should be good to go. With that, I'm out. I do not want to go over, and I got people waiting for me. So y'all have a good afternoon, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes.
Next one and the last one there is Abel Castaneda.
Is he here? There you go.
I was gonna go for item number 3, but I run the football league at Vestal, and I was just want to say thank y'all for helping us out with the fence. But I was gonna ask if there was any other funding that we can use out there. We really need some help with, like a concession. I want to host some games out there, but the fields are not, with sufficient parking and stuff like that. So hopefully we can get some funding out there to help us. We've been pretty involved with the high school, and the high school's helping us, but we're probably gonna have to have our games out there just because we need more parking and some improvements there at the park. So just want to say thanks. If y'all can help us out with any funds or grants or whatever that might come up, keep Vestal Park in mind. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Castañeda.
No more.
Okay, great. Okay. Moving on to approval of minutes. Item number 1, approval of minutes of the regular meeting of June 7th, 2023, and regular meeting of June 21, 2023. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have our consent agenda, item 2, items A and B. Do we have to remove any of these consent items? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to new business. Item 3, public hearing and possible action to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to submit a grant application to the Texas Parks and Wildlife Local Park Grant Program. And we'll hear from Javier Mendez.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Javier Mendez. I'm the Parks and Rec Director. I wasn't prepared with a PowerPoint because I understand this item was going to be tabled. But what we were interested in was applying to Texas Parks and Wildlife for improvements to Victor Park. And Victor Park, the application was going to consist of lighting of the third field, a lighted basketball court, the repairs to the pool, more parking, and some shades. And then we're also going to include fencing of the park. So the grant application is due August 1st, and so we needed to have a public hearing before as part of the grant application. And so we were requesting to apply up to $750,000 to Parks and Wildlife, and then, of course, the city would have to match that by 50%. The 50%, part of the 50% was going to come from the CDBG funding that was approved prior. And so we thought it was a good idea to take advantage of that and use those, use that match, use that money as our match for this project. But we did work on a conceptual, we did work on a budget, but again, I wasn't prepared. I didn't have it with me, so.
It's okay. So you said this application is due August 1st, and so you would need to conduct a public hearing prior to that, which is what we're doing today. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. And so we did, Christina Garcia also helped us. She put a post on Facebook, and so we did get a lot of input from the community about the project. I don't have the details as far as what the vote was or the data that we collected, but we do have to provide that information to Texas Parks and Wildlife as part of the community input.
And the improvements that you're wanting to do at Victor Park, is that the same, what you intended to do initially, but then bids came back over budget, and so you didn't proceed, or is this different improvements?
No, ma'am. So the, yes, your part of it is correct. So the pool project, we went out for bid, and that one came in over budget, and so we have a little bit under, I believe, $200,000, because we used some of it for the engineering part of the pool, the project. And then we have another $70,000, and then I believe another $30,000 that we got for the lighting, but wasn't enough for that project. And so we wanted to, again, use those funds as our match.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't sure if it was the same, because we tabled it, or not tabled it, but we didn't proceed forward because there wasn't enough money, and so now with the grant, there's a potential of being able to do some of those
Correct.
improvements. Okay.
Right. So we still want to continue with what was originally approved. The funding that we received from CDBG was to improve the pool and the lighting of the third field at Victor.
So, just so I can understand, so this will enable us to complete that, if we get this grant money?
Yes.
Okay.
Which we were
Yes,
not
sir.
going to do. We were going to do another project because there was no money, but now
Correct.
that there could be money, you want to move
Right.
forward.
So there's this opportunity for us to apply, and so we want to take advantage of the
And
of the
how
money
much
that
are
we
you
have.
talking about?
I'm sorry?
How much are you talking about?
The funding from,
Yeah, what are you asking for?
so we're asking for $750,000. It'll be $1.4 million, the project. And so here's an image. So this would be the basketball court lighted. This right here is the parking lot for the pool. We added a splash pad area, small one, next to the pool. We were going to renovate the pool, of course. And then this is the large football field. We're going to fence the outside plus fence along the frontage, keep it safe for the kids, and then build a concession. We're going to put lights on this field here on the third one. We're going to build a parking lot, and then 2 shade structures, and then a butterfly garden. So a lot of these components here that we're adding will get us points when we submit the grant application to Texas Parks and Wildlife. And so there's certain items that you can add that will get us the most points.
The shade is where?
So the shade structures, we're putting them on the, I guess, the south side of M Street, like you're going towards the golf course.
Okay.
So we're adding this parking lot right here. So this parking lot is already designed. We hired an engineer about a year and a half ago. So we have the engineered plans for this and the cost estimate. And then, of course, we have the construction drawings for the pool as well.
I think
Okay.
all our parks need shade on the fields.
Excuse me, Javier, this is exactly what I was asking for when I first came on board, using grants for parks. But as time went on, I realized that Vesta Park needs a lot more work than Victor Park, okay? So with what I was asking for last week or 2 weeks ago, I'm willing to postpone the fire hydrant project, okay? But I would like to see this grant that we're looking at, that you're looking at, go straight to Vestal Park and bring Vestal Park up to comparison to Victor Park and Pendleton Park. All right? The thing behind this is, I do realize, and there's plenty of people here that will back me up and say, Victor Park is a regional park versus Vestal Park sits right smack in the middle of the neighborhood. This is July, several months ago, Mr. Castañeda had, help me out here, he had Coach Gomez having a football camp. They had tables, people had to bring on their own chairs, there was not a place to sit, okay? They have practically nothing, and it sits right smack in the middle of the neighborhood. So I really want to see this at Victor Park, but I got to look at this area that's in dire need. Victor Park has a concession stand. They have zero. Nothing. One of the things that was brought up, and I brought up to somebody's attention, the same way the CDBG uses students in high school to draw the diagrams for housing, we can do the same thing for a concession stand. And back many, many years ago, when I was in school, they had a masonry program. I don't know if that still exists. They can go out there and do that at both locations. All right? So I'm asking the commission to reconsider this and pass this over to Vestal Park. Vestal Park has been neglected for years. And when I came on board, there was an issue with the parking lot. They had a huge hole. And that was addressed, not because I made a phone call, they were on top of that, but thank God it should never have gotten to that bad. Okay? And Rodrigo at the time said, hey, I need a day or two because there was so much water in this hole, we gotta dry it out and get it out so we can do some work on it. That's how bad it was. That neglect for Vestal Park has been going on for years. I love Victor Park. I go by there going to the golf course. But you know, it's in my neck of the woods, but man, I need to say, hey, Vestal Park has been neglected and we need to do something about that. We gotta bring it up to speed, just a tad. That $750 plus another 200 some odd thousand that's set up for CDBG will give it a major boost to where it is going to be, to where I know Mr. Castañeda over there will bring in more league players and so on down the line. And if Coach
Gomez keeps on doing his workshops out there with the kids, and I tell you what, there was kids all over the place. How, you know, so, thank you. So it is something that I just can't turn my back on Vestal Park. I really can't.
I understand what you're saying about Vestal Park, and I agree that you know, Vestal Park needs some help, and that's why we gave just recently $217,000 to Vestal Park. And I know about the lighting issue because I know Abel reached out to me, and I'm the one that told Rodrigo about the lights, and that's the lighting that they put there for the kids that were there. But at the same time, I think Victor Park, on the comments that were posted on Facebook when we asked for the community feedback, a lot of them were mentioning how we need more water activities, like a splash pad. We need better swimming pool there at Victor Park. And I think that's something that we need to concentrate more on. We've already given them Vestal Park $217,000. And I think we need to do a little bit more for Victor Park, because you said they do have concession stands. Yes, but if you look at the concession stands, they're very run down. I've heard from parents that have called me that they're embarrassed that when they have tournaments, they come in, the restrooms are run down, everything's, you know, just doesn't look good. And this will go a long way in, you know, fixing the conditions of Victor Park, plus the swimming pool. I know the Victor Park, like, we've been trying to get that one fixed for what, how long has it been? 2 years?
2 years.
For 2 years, we've been trying to get Victor Park up to date and get those upgrades, and we haven't been able to because we didn't have the funding. So now that we actually have the opportunity to have the funding, I think this is something that we need to do. I mean, I understand the conditions of Vestal Park, and I do think Vestal Park, once we get Victor Park, the swimming pool up and, you know, up and ready to go, then we can look at Vestal Park. But at the same time, we have to spread it around. We just, a couple weeks ago, we gave them $217,000 for Vestal Park. So I think it's time that we pay attention.
We need it.
I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I just want to make sure that we keep order, and we appreciate everybody that's been out, that came out here for this agenda item. I wasn't aware that there was going to be any change until I sat down here, that this is not on the, that was not on the agenda, but so I wish that it had been, so that way folks could have signed up for public comment. However, it is part of the ability to use these funds, so that's why we're having this discussion here, but unfortunately, we can't open it up for additional public comment. But trust me when I tell you that we all up here know why you're here in support, and we appreciate it. And hopefully, we can flesh out some of these concerns between the commission, so that way we can move forward. But,
Yeah, because like what I was going to say, just like there's kids playing there at Vestal Park, there's also kids playing at Victor Park as well. Not just in swimming pool, but you have also different leagues there as well. So I think, like I said, it's only fair that we spread the money around. And I know some may say that, hey, well, you know, like you said, Vestal Park's been neglected for a while. Yes, it has. It has. But the thing is, recently we've taken a big dive into that, and we gave them $217,000. Now we need to switch to another one of our parks. It can't just be about Vestal Park. And I think Victor Park needs that.
If I could add also that whatever we decide, we need to have a resolution passed before August 1st.
that's what I wrote down, and which is most concerning for me, because that doesn't give us a lot of time. So if we were to postpone this and do it at a later time, then we jeopardize the ability to obtain any funding at all. So I think it's real important. I think Commissioner Perez brings up some very good points in that, that I've been talking to a lot of folks in the community, have been telling me about the condition of the swimming pool. I was just talking to you earlier this week about the condition of the pool, and we want to ensure that we can maintain it as best as possible, but it really does need those major improvements to be able to get that done. And so my question to you, Javier, is that if we don't go forward with this, when, if ever, will we be able to make those improve? Because it's a big project and it's costly. When will we have the money to do it in Victor Park, if not now?
Well, if we don't do it, we got to turn that money back over to CDBG.
Yes, we can hear, Commissioner.
But just give us 1 second. I forgot you were there. Sorry, Commissioner. But Javier is talking. I don't know if it's delayed, but go ahead.
So I was just going to say, so the money that we received from CDBG, and I'm not sure if Sandy's in the thing, but
Yes,
I
she
think
is.
that if we don't use it within a certain time, we're going to have to return that, and it's going to have to be reallocated for something else. But Texas Parks and Wildlife grant, I believe, is once a year. And so this would be our opportunity to apply, whether it's Vestal or Victor or anything else, any other park. But we selected Victor. There's a lot of room for a lot of the improvements. And like I mentioned, some of the items that we placed there will get us the maximum amount of points when we submit our grant application. One other thing I wanted to point out, Mayor, if I may, we have made several improvements to Vestal in the last 3 or 4 years. We put the lighting, we put the fencing, we lit 2 fields, we put bleachers, we built the playground, we repaired the parking lot. And so over the last 3 or 4 years, we probably spent maybe $600,000 on that park. So at the time, it was only 1 league running out of there. So, but I understand there's other leagues that are out there working and doing the good for the youngsters, right, for the youth. So
How many leagues do we have at Victor Park, do you know?
I don't know, and so what I did was I called everybody that were supposed to be here for the public hearing. I told them that we were going to cancel it, so not to show up. And so so that was one of the things. I had the leagues; they were going to show up. Mr. Tucker's here with Hat, and so but there was some other people that were on our board that were going to come and speak, and so again, I told them not to show up tonight.
I think the biggest concern for me is the pool right now, just because that has been an ongoing, I get an email a week of the concerns of the pool, from the kids to the adults
Right.
to the triathletes, to everyone, and it really is a gem that we have, but it's deteriorating, and I'd like to be able to have those triathlon events that we were having back in 2018, 2019,
Right.
bring that back, and I think it's good for the community to promote health and wellness. But I also agree that Vestal Park needs a lot of work, and I can appreciate that you've put in all this money, or the city has been putting in this money, but it doesn't end there. We do need improvements in that park, and Commissioner Morales is right that given that it's within the neighborhood and it serves as recreation for that community, it is important.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think this money was already earmarked for Victor Park, and we only set it aside because we didn't have those additional funds. And now you have an opportunity for a match, so it makes sense to make those improvements, and maybe getting after being, as Commissioner Morales says, being more aggressive when it comes to additional fund grants in other areas to try to continue to pour money into our parks instead of relying on the general fund to be able to
Right.
do that.
If I may mix metaphors, you don't change horses in midstream.
I appreciate that, Commissioner Mesmer, but we've been trying to fund Vestal Park for the past 6 years. I've been on the Community Development Advisory Board. I have, voted to give Victor Park money for parking lots, for different things that they needed at the pool. So I think it's a disingenuous and inaccurate argument to say that we keep giving Vestal Park money, when that exact argument that Commissioner Pettis is making is always made when it comes to Vestal Park. It's always said, oh, we can put Vestal Park on the back burner. And we can't, right? This is the area, Commissioners, that every time we get an email that there's a raid, it's in this neighborhood. Every time we find that it's essentially, there's been a murder, it's near this neighborhood, right near that park. And so I think we need to put in, we're not even asking for anything major. The $750,000 would go to the infrastructure that's needed just to be able to maintain it, right? I've been working with Javier, Josh, Craig, Anna, and Gabe for the past year to create plans that would be able to fit for this exact park and for this grant, right? So the concern, Mayor, I understand what you're saying, you don't want to lose the opportunity, but the great thing is, next week we already have a meeting which we can do the public hearing and be able to do the transfer without losing this opportunity. That's what I'm saying, is that at the end of the day, we need to put the money where it's going to do the most good, and Vestal Park is that, right? and use the concession stands. And I understand lighting seems super simple or basic, right? But it's pretty sad that they've had to wait 20, 30 years just to get light, right? They've had to wait, how long have these people been waiting for concession stands? And I would highly recommend that you guys go to Vestal Park on the weekends or after hours. It's full all the time. Going on a Sunday, you got soccer leagues going, you got minor league football leagues going. Right. I think it's time that we stop putting the neighborhoods that need the most help on the background. I think we need to make them the top priority. And I think we have an opportunity here, if we were to get the full 750,000, to at least get them to the standard that they need to be at. And I would remind this commission that we just spent $1 million on Tony Butler, which is the same green space as Victor Park, right? Victor Park has had its day. It will continue to have its day. I think we just need to make sure Vestal Park isn't forgotten. And it seems that any opportunity, whether it was last year when Vestal Park was supposed to get the money, and this committee or a member of this commission decided to pull that money for lighting or fire truck, and then it's being done again.
I would disagree with you, Commissioner Lopez, because I won't say that we've disregarded it. Like Mr. Mendez said, we've given you over $600,000. That's not even including the $200,000 that we're giving you right now. I understand that Vestal Park is in your district, and you have some constituents that are kind of reaching out to you and saying, hey, you need to get this done, and you're a good commissioner, so you want to do what you can for your constituents. But at the same time, it's about being a commissioner for all of Harlingen. And Victor Park needs it. You're talking about a swimming pool that needs to be fixed. It's been there. This money was meant for Victor Park, and you're trying to steal from Peter to give to Paul because you're getting some feedback from your constituents. I don't think that's right. I think we need to fund this for Victor Park. Victor Park needs it, and you just said that we have to raise it to a certain standard. That's what we're trying to do with the swimming pool. Right now, this swimming pool has these upgrades that have not been done. They have not been done. If you look on the comments on Facebook, when we asked about the Parks and Recreation, many of those comments had to deal specifically with the swimming pools, with the splash pads, all those other things. And this is what all we're trying to do is get Victor Park to a certain standard where people can go and enjoy themselves. These are things I've been waiting for a long time. So I disagree when you say that we've been ignoring Vestal Park. You had Javier say $600,000. We gave him $200,000. That's a total of almost $1 million that we've given Vestal Park. And you said you've been working with Anna and with others to get funding. You're a very smart guy, and I have no doubt you're determined to do what you can for your constituents. So I have no doubt next year you'll be able to find some funding for Vestal Park. But I think we have to share the load. You have to give some to other districts. It can't just be your district. And Victor Park needs it. We have people that come over here and look at our parks, and they're like, what's going on? Plus, Javier mentioned how there's probably some, by having it at Victor Park, we have a better chance of actually getting the grant because we can reach maximum points with the area that we're at. Okay, and I know you mentioned Tony Butler, but that's totally separate. Okay, we're talking about the other leagues the kids are playing there, playing soccer, they're playing football, whatever they're playing, the swimming, and like the mayor said, we also want to have new swimming competitions there at Victor Park. So I'm all for Vestal Park. Before you got elected, I was actually, like I said earlier, got some improvements done at Vestal Park, even though it wasn't my district, but I knew Vestal Park needed help. The same people that are asking for help right now reached out to me before you were elected, of course, and I made sure that they got the lights. So I understand going to other districts, but now it's time for Victor Park. You've gone over close to $1 million. Now it's time for Victor Park. Next year, with your tenacity, I'm sure you'll get some funding for it.
If I could add, Commissioner, Victor Pool is the only 50-meter pool that we have in the city. And so that's the reason that a lot of athletes like to use that pool because of the size of it. It's the only deep water pool that we have that has lanes. And that's why, Coach Tucker goes out there and trains his kids. In addition to using Pendleton. Pendleton's smaller, of course, but that's the only one, like the mayor was mentioning, if we can have meets there, if we improve it, we can have meets and we can have other events. The triathlons, the duathlons, they all want to use Victor Pool.
And as you're aware, Commissioner, that would add to the economic benefit of all these people coming into our town and, getting hotels, eating the food here in Harlingen. So I think we should stick with Victor Park. I agree with what Mike said. It's not, what'd you say, Mike? Not changing?
Don't change horses in midstream.
Exactly.
Mixed metaphor, yes.
What was it that I said?
I don't think we are, and my biggest concern about the way this grant came about is I was never included, or I don't think this commission was ever, this grant was never brought before this commission. The way it came up, and I find out last minute on Friday that this is even an opportunity. So my concern is we need to, proceeding forward, these grants need to be brought before the full commission to see where we're gonna put the money, right? I don't like the feeling that things are happening and we don't find out till like the last possible minute. So here I am having to scramble, and I can't even show you guys the point system because we don't know that the Vestal Park works for more points or higher points, right? It has all the potentials specifically because of its demographics and the people who use it, not only from that neighborhood, but from every neighborhood, right? As they said, the coach for Harlingen High goes and has practices there for kids for the whole city. So I highly believe, and I agree with Commissioner Morales, that we need to have that money put in Vestal Park. And I would say that I was rooting for this for 5 years, Commissioner Pettis, 5, even before you were elected. And so I want to know, and I want this commission to push forward on getting this money, this grant to Vestal Park.
Well, you know what, I will do, after we award this money to Victor Park, I will do everything in my power and support you 100% in doing what we can to Vestal Park like I did before you were elected. But I honestly think that this is something that Victor Park needs. We need to have the swimming pool. This is something that's a necessity, especially with this heat wave when we have 108, 107-degree weather. People need to have a pool that they can go to. This is probably our last chance to get Victor Pool fixed before we lose the funding or it has to go somewhere else. So I would urge my fellow commissioners to vote for Victor Park. I know this is something that our staff looked into, and they looked at all the other parks, I'm assuming, and Victor Park was the one that fit. And I think we should go with staff's recommendation with Victor Park. And at the same time, like you said, I also don't like the feeling that this was already going to be tabled and we hadn't, like, without us kind of knowing. I don't like that. Like, we could have had a lot more people that could have came and spoke on behalf of Victor Park, but because this was already tabled before it even got to us, they're not here to communicate about that. And I don't think that's a good thing. If there's something that's going to be changed or something tabled, it has to be here in front of us where we can all participate, not something that's done kind of on back channels and we don't know about it. Because just like you have some people that would advocate for your Vestal Park, I probably could have had tons of people here for Victor Park advocating for that as well, but because they were told they couldn't come, they're not here. So I think we need to go with what staff recommended and fund Victor Park.
I will
I think
say,
based on my conversations with staff, is the other parks weren't consistent. That's the issue.
right, and I just, I want to just for clarification and for staff, I wholeheartedly agree with Commissioner Lopez that these grant opportunities that are available need to come to the commission with more than enough time so that way we can collaborate, we can discuss where the money needs to go, and everybody have an opportunity. You have five commissioners here that represent their own districts. There's parks in every single district, and each of them should have an opportunity to present their case. Unfortunately, that didn't happen at this point, but now we're under the gun. August 1st is when it needs to, and I don't want to lose that opportunity. So I think that we do need to move forward with a sense of urgency. I would hope that in the future, nothing is presumed tabled prior to a meeting, so that way anyone that wishes to come and speak can come and speak in public at the public hearing. It's unfortunate that those folks aren't going to be here to voice their concerns, but I know that we have all heard from the families in that area, whether it be soccer, football, the flag football, or the pool, and that there are major concerns. Nonetheless, it is on the agenda for right now, so I think at this point we need to open this up for a public hearing for the folks that are here to speak on. So if there's anyone here wishing to speak for or against, and we have Ms. Linda.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and all the commissioners. And first of all, I want to thank you, Mr. Perez, for making me feel worthless and on our community. My name is Linda Ramos, Neighborhood Watch District 2. It's not about the district or him. You know, let me tell you something. Last year, the money was taken by you for your district of all the grants. I know that because I went to go ask for the money, and the Commissioner Lopez is aware of that. Second of all, my kids, 4 kids, have played in Victor Park. I love Victor Park. But you know what? Those concession stands have been like that for years, more than years. My oldest is 27, so let me tell you, this has been a long time coming, okay? But my park, where we're at, there's high crime, mental illness, suicidal thoughts. We need to fix it now. The time is now. I love Victor Park. Fix the pool, but we need more money towards Vista Park. Let's finish it. Like, Victor Park has never been finished completely. When Sandro Martinez was the head of the football league there, that little concession stand, I agree, it needs fixing. But guess what? Nobody never fixed it. And you know, there's a lot for the kids to do in that park. But unfortunately, in my area, there is not. And we're losing our kids. And that is the point that I'm saying. I had asked this commission prior, the next meeting, to find other monies to help Vista Park. Let's finish it out. We're running out of time. And that's all I'm asking. But, you know, I don't like to feel less than, or that our children are less than in our community, Mr. Perez, because it's not about Mr. Lopez or about anybody. It's about the kids in Harlingen, Texas, not the District 2. I am fighting for the kids, because every other place they have where to play in. Another thing is, I've been asking since 2017 for more fixing of the parks, basketball courts. All the youth there, we have no basketball courts. We do have a little bit of, we don't even have a baseball field. We have more children in our community than you can count of. Go visit my neighborhood at night. See if you like the park. See if you like all the violence that's going on there. We don't. That's why we need help. And we've asked this commission and mayor and everybody else to help us. We're not asking to take away from other parks neither. I agree, they need fixing. Actually, all the parks in Harlingen need fixing. So let's do something, not just for our park, but let's finish. We haven't completed none of the phases. Let's make Vista Park a priority, and let's do the project and finish out there, and then continue with everything else. Because Victor Park has basketball courts, they have a pavilion, they have a walk park, they have the golfing, they have football fields that are flooding, mind you. They flooded them when my little boy is 20, gonna be 20, when he was playing football there. It flooded, it was so embarrassing from Brownsville. They have the best football fields over there because the city fixed it. So yes, I agree, but I also don't like to feel less than Mr. Perez. I don't agree with what you said. And it made me very upset because we need to save our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Abel?
Ron Lozano.
He was next.
I've been, am I after him?
He was waiting, is why. You
I was
can't-
right next to it. When is my turn, Mayor? When is my turn?
Your turn is now, Mr. Lozano.
All right, thank you. Look at the evidence, not flowery. Yesterday, Open Meetings Act in Texas, still applicable, according to Mr. Saucy. They barricaded every single door, so the Public and Recreations Advisory Board was going to be insulated. Why? Maybe because Mr. Tucker's students are such large liars. You'd be aghast at what is going on right now at Victor Pool. So, what does he just admit to? What admission did Javier just make? I told you he might have an iota of integrity, and he just showed that he does have an iota of integrity. I'm so pleased that he says, look, I tell people not to come to public hearings. So, he's violating the Texas Open Meetings Act by barricading meetings.
Mr. Lozano, I'm just going to interrupt you. If you want to speak for or against the adoption of this ordinance?
I'm against this adoption of this ordinance because of what I'm just stating. If Gabe is ignorant of what I just told about the big favor I did for him, look at this.
Mr. Lozano, stay on task, please.
The meeting is supposed to be until August the 1st. He has a deadline. You guys put on the agenda suddenly, you have another meeting with EDC, really quick coming up. You can post a meeting and have a public hearing that every constituent from every district, even Mesmarsh district, can come, okay? But you're not having to rush things. If you go back and look at what happens just this calendar year of 2023, this happens all the time, usually led by Gabe. Oh, we got to get it done real quick. We don't give you any notice. He has no figures. He's shown no, if not for Mesmar, we wouldn't know the amount of the project that he entails. So he wants us to look silly in front of the Texas Public Grants, Parks grants. He is not sharing with the public any figures. And you guys are ready, because you're used to being a rubber stamp, to rubber stamp it. Until this current mayor, we didn't used to operate like that. We would have bona fide presentations. He's telling you he's not prepared. He's probably trying to deal with what's going on at Victor Park right now. Just have a slight delay. You'll get it done way before August the 1st. Listen to Javier. He's going to start letting people come to meetings. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm back. Abel Castaneda. I just wanted to say something about Vestal Park and Victor Park. There's a big difference. Would you trust your son or daughter walking across the expressway to go to Victor Park by themselves? I wouldn't trust my kids. Vestal Park is a community park. I grew up in Treasure Hills, Mesmars District. I didn't grow up over there with her, but I can tell you there's a lot of kids there at Vestal Park that go walking to the park. One of my assistant coaches grew up in Vestal Park. He was a foster kid. He came from nothing. He's a very good guy, but he always says, man, there was nowhere to play basketball. There was nowhere. My parents they wouldn't let him cross Commerce to go play basketball at the Boys and Girls Club. Are you gonna trust your kids crossing the expressway, or any of the kids on M Street, those streets right there? I guarantee those parents aren't gonna let them cross the expressway to go play at Victor Park. Vestal Park is gonna be used by the neighborhood there. You said something about Paul, money going from Paul to John or whatever. What happened to the money that was supposed to be allocated to Vestal Park for the concessions and all that? That was last year. Gabe made a promise last year. He goes, Abel, by this time next year, you'll have a concessions. We barely got a fence. Javier Mendez, I had from USA Football, $250,000 grant. We're on a time limit. I sent him an email that we had a grant money, $250,000, that was gonna go to Vestal Park. It just had to be dedicated, that park had to be dedicated to football for 10 years. Not that I was gonna run it, but just that it was gonna be used for football for 10 years. I went out there with a table, some water bottles, we had more kids in the league at Victor Park. More kids than that. And a lot of them, we were just letting them play free because they were kids with no money from the neighborhood. You know, and it makes me mad because we had nothing out there, no concessions, no nothing, and we're making it happen. You know, I've had camps from both high schools here in Harlingen. I'm from Harlingen. My kids are 99% Harlingen kids. I'm not trying to recruit kids from all over the valley because that ain't gonna help them when they get to middle school, high school. We wanna build Harlingen kids. We're the only tackle football league here in Harlingen that are Harlingen kids. And we're getting support from schools, but the city, no. And you know, some of that money, like I said, what happened to that money that was there supposed last year? I don't know for facts, but I heard that you pushed it to go somewhere else. You did help us with the lights. I appreciate that. But that was a safety issue because there was a lot of kids running through a pitch black parking lot. And Mr. Morales has been out there. He's seen it. I've invited some of the other commissioners. I was on the Parks Board. I invited the Parks Board people to come out there. They didn't come out there, you know, but we have a lot of kids right now. I have practice at 7 o'clock. I'm here right now. I got to go hook up my trailer and take all my equipment out there. That's another thing. I rented a storage unit for 3 years to have all this equipment in there during COVID. We're back from COVID. Kids are coming out. We're starting to get a lot more kids representing Harlingen, you know, youth football here, tackle football. We're the only tackle football here. So, like I said, I went out there with a table, made a league happen. We had a lot of kids out there. Imagine if we had a concession. You know, it's bad not having a place to call home where we can say, hey, we're gonna be here from 6:30 to 7 o'clock to come register. We're having to meet kids at Peter Piper, at Hibbett Sports, different places. But that's all I'm saying. I mean, we need help, big time. You were out some of the camps. I mean, the high schools are helping us out. I think the city should be able to help us too. So.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Tucker? You have something for us? Sure. Thank you. Oh, I know, I saw that already.
They're just pictures that will help you see what's going on at Victor Park. I've been swimming in this town myself since I was 7 years old. I'm 70. So I've seen the pools come and go and come back again. I was also chairman of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for several years, on that board for a while, so I get it about trying to take care of so many parks. They all need help. So Vestal, Victor, I mean, it's just an ongoing issue. So The pictures are to just help you understand what's going on at that pool. The pie in the sky is, we need a all-sports facility in this town. New pool, indoor, Olympic-sized pool with track and field and football things. My grandson has played on football since he was 10 years old with Wolfpack, and now he's a starting middle linebacker for the Cardinals. So I get it. All the sports make a difference. All the kids make a difference. That's why I've been coaching for 28 years. It's because it's for the kids. I could do it anywhere. I've passed up a lot of opportunities because I'm living in Harlingen, Texas, for my dad and my wife and my swimming team. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Are these for us to keep? Okay.
I thought I was going to speak once. I was a commissioner when we worked on Vestal Park. And yes, Vestal Park is one of those pocket parks that are very important. But I do want to say this gentleman to my right was the reason that Vestal Park was worked on. Javier came to us as commissioners and said we need to do something with that park. And so a lot of the pictures you saw about Vestal Park online are improvements that were made for the last 5 years. And you are correct, Commissioner Pettis, about that. Right now you have a shovel-ready project. And I think it's important that we maximize our hit. Because if you go to the parks, this is just a grant opportunity. It's not a guarantee. And you got to put your best foot forward. And yes, Commissioner Lopez, I do get it. I want you all to know I'm standing here as third in line for president of the Rotary Club. And we've committed for the next 3 years to raise funds for the Harlingen soccer field. And so all the parks in Harlingen have great need. We've committed, we have it written down on paper. They say if you don't have a goal, you don't have anything. Our goal is $100,000 that we're going to raise over the next 3 years. And it's all going to go to one park because we're committed. We're committed to the kids of this city. We're committed to this city. And so I know that I'm listening to the bickering. I've been there before. But I think what we need to do really is what's going to get us the biggest bang for our buck. The Texas Parks and Wildlife Board is offering a $750,000 grant. I remember standing there receiving a $1 million grant for the destination park. And so please don't miss an opportunity to put your best foot forward. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak for or against the adoption of this ordinance? I don't know, is this an ordinance?
Hello, my name is Noemi Cisneros. First of all, I'm going to keep it positive. I want to thank you all for supporting the project at Vestal Park. Renee, I have so much respect for you, but I don't agree with you. And today, please, next time, choose your words a little bit more wisely, because you did make us feel like we're worthless, the kids in District 2. You know what? We're here not just to advocate for Vestal Park, but investing in Vestal Park is investing in our whole city, because it's keeping the citizens of Harlingen a lot safer. Just 2 days ago, there was an incident where our PD was chasing a young adult, and he went and crashed into a home down off of Finley and Orange Heights, right off of Orange Heights. And the family there is very lucky that she forgot diapers and she went back inside. So imagine what would have happened had she not gotten off. They went and they crashed. Why? Because that is one of the biggest problems that we have here in Harlingen. So this is why Vestal Park is not like any other park. We need to invest in the children. Why do you think that Mr. Lopez and us, of course, we all know the history. My husband, when it was campaigning time, they were both commissioners running for the commission. Why? Because it was very important that we invest in these locations in our districts. And by investing in the children of District 2, we are investing in the whole city, because we will not have a lot of, people start, that's the biggest, crime area. And I should get the stats. Next time I'm gonna get stats for you all, so you all can know what goes on there. And today, with your comment, that made us feel as Hispanics a lot worthless, because you need to invest in this district, because we need to keep our children. For the past couple of years, I don't know if it's true or not, but they say that you have directed the monies to other areas instead of it coming to our district. So, this is, whether it's rumor or not, but, there's different areas that people say. So we need your support, Renee. Victor Park, you know what? Victor Park is important. It is important. All those beautiful things, but it's not about all the beautiful things that are coming into the park. It's about the kids that we need to save. We need to make sure that we're there for them, whether it be in District 2, District 5, District 1, District, whatever district. Any child here in Harlingen is worth more than any money or any money that comes in. So we need to make sure that we give them the facilities and the resources to move forward in a positive way. It's bad enough that they went through COVID and the challenges that they went and the way it affected all our children, whether it was in 5, 2, or 1, or 3. So we need to work together with Daniel Lopez. He's not doing the constituents any favor. He's working with us. You think him and my husband ran against each other. Why? Because it didn't change our heart. We're here for the taxpayers, the families, and the children, especially of Harlingen. So by investing in District 2 and Vestal Park, you're investing in the whole city. So thank you, Renee. And that doesn't change the way I feel about you. I respect you. And I thank everybody here that is behind this project, because I can only imagine what the future of Harlingen will look like by investing in this Vestal Park. So you know what? Let's move forward. And yes, you have my support. And if we're done with this project, I guarantee you we will not be here, sitting here. So our first priority is to save the children and the families that go through the mental health because of the challenges that this world is, the way they're being impacted. So thank you. Thank you, Norma. Thank you, everybody, for all that you are doing and putting the families and the children of our Harlingen first. So thank you. And so I appreciate your time and effort.
Thank you,
God
Ms.
bless
Noemi. Is there anyone else wishing to speak for or against the adoption of this resolution?
Teresita Garcia, and I was just listening in. Ms. Dawn Ray invited me here. And just from the outside looking in, I do have a junior. My daughter's going to be going to a junior this year. But in a nutshell, to me, the Victor Park, it looks like it's an upscale or upgrading, if you wanted to put two parks in perspective. Victor Park, yes, it needs the pool, because every time I drive through, it's like it's empty or whatever. But it's an upgrade, whereas Vista Park needs of the community. And right now, it seems like that one would be beneficial more for the children. Whatever needs to be added, yes, Victor Park already has some things. People drive to it for whatever it's there at this time or whatever they have. Yes, it needs upgrades, but this other one seems like, by what I'm hearing here, a lot more needs of the community, because people could actually walk. We're always telling our kids, go outside and exercise or do this or do that. But then that park is very surrounded by a lot of neighborhoods that there's not really a good, safe area for them to go to. So that's the only thing I was gonna say, that this, like the Victor Park looks more like a upgrade, whereas this other one looks more like a necessity. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Teresita. Being no one else here to speak for or against the resolution, we'll close the public hearing at this time. I don't know if there's...
Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention is that there are children that live around Victor Park. You have the U.S. Homes area, you have right there by Haverford, and you also have my students. As some of you may know, I'm a teacher at Harlingen High School South. I have a lot of students that actually walk to Victor Park to practice for their athletics that they're going to play throughout the year. And I'm sure some of my students as well are probably going with Mr. Tucker, and he's teaching them how to swim as well. So there's a tendency to overlook that Victor Park does have children around it. It's right there off M Street. There's a lot of students that unfortunately they do have to cross the expressway. They do cross the expressway because that's the only place that they have to actually go and play. So Victor Park is heavily used by the community. It's not something that nobody uses. It is. There's kids all over the place. There's a high school. It's something that it's very, very used. Also, the swimming pool, again, I just want to reiterate that this is probably going to be our last opportunity to get something done at the swimming pool, okay? And I want to apologize. I have no idea what I said to you guys. Honestly, I don't. But I want to apologize for whatever it was I said that offended you, because that was not my intent. But it's just at the same time, I feel that we have invested in Vestal Park recently, like former Commissioner Leal mentioned. And just recently, you guys were here all excited because we did allocate $217,000 to Vestal Park. And I voted for that because I know that's something that was needed. But at the same time, now I think it's time for Victor Park. We need to fix the swimming pool. And like I said earlier, once we do this for Victor Park next year, whatever Commissioner Lopez needs, I will be back him 100% in trying to get what we can for Vestal Park. Before he got elected, I helped you guys get the lights. Now with Commissioner Lopez and myself, I'll be right there with him, trying to get you whatever you guys need. But I do think that this money should go to Victor Park. It was allocated for Victor Park, and it needs to go to Victor Park.
Now,
If I may, before we go.
you think about what Commissioner Leal said. Oh,
No, go ahead, Dan.
I think about what Commissioner Leal said. Oh, thank you. What we may consider for this commission, right, is we want to make sure, and the mayor is absolutely right, we want to put, and Commissioner Pettis are right, we want to put our best foot forward to see that we have the best chance at getting that grant, right? As I said earlier, it's a request, not necessarily a guarantee. Therefore, I would ask the commission to consider that we table this for the 1 week. We bring it back with the EDC meeting that we're going to have, I believe, next Thursday, and we score both. Let's score Vestal Park, and let's let the analytics guide the decision. If Vestal Park's the best decision, we go with Vestal Park. If Victor Park's the better decision, scores better, then we go with that one. I agree with this commission. We don't want to waste the opportunity, and I think that's the best way we can kind of make this decision.
You done? Well, he took my notes. This is something that I wish we'd had the homework.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, very, very emotional, both sides. I appreciate it. I mean, and there are other parks that deserve our attention as well. And I support fully what Commissioner Lopez just put out. If we can do this at the meeting we already have scheduled for next week, add as an agenda item, or we have the full Monty as far as information, rather than this one pager here that didn't give me a whole lot. That's what I would also recommend.
I have a question for Javier.
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow's the 20th. You have 11 days to submit something to the state, or we lose the opportunity to get $750,000. Is there enough time to come up with new plans?
Well, we would
Vestal Park, or do we have to stay where we are in order to increase the probability of success of getting free state money?
Yeah, and I think
Can we get Anna to, I really would like, I mean, that to me is the biggest concern here
Right.
is, we don't want to, I'm sorry, Mike. I don't want to put Anna in a position where she's scrambling, so if,
That's a consideration, I think. I don't think, even if we decide, and I understand that I understand there's needs for both parks, but I don't think there's gonna be enough time to fully work on on a solid application that can be submitted in time. Especially if we wanna delay the vote to the 26th, I don't think it will be possible. So if anything, we will need to know today so we can actually make sure that we complete it to the best that we can and try to be successful, because we still don't know if we're gonna get funded, so.
And so for the folks that are watching from home and that may tune in later, because this was not something that based on the agenda and the attachment, I thought it was only Victor Park. So I'm assuming that folks will tune in later. Can you just say your name and what you do here? All the great work that you do for the city of Harlingen, so people understand why your opinion, not opinion, but it's just the facts, right? And they truly matter. So.
Right. Well, for the record, my name is Ana Hernandez. I'm the Special Projects Director. Special projects constitute of many different topics, but mostly grants, I guess, at this stage. And so I have worked on several grants that have been awarded funds in the last 3 years. And so I think it's been probably the most in the last 5 years. And so I think with the Texas Parks and Wildlife, it's a very competitive application. It's not necessarily your typical application that you have a good chance to succeed. They only fund probably less than 20 projects for the whole state of Texas. And so today is not ideal in any way. I mean, I was hoping that we could have representatives and we could speak to the, in support of the application, because the improvements are needed for Victor Park. And so, and I'm not saying that Vestal is not needed, it's just that they're not necessarily what we're proposing for the project or for the grant application at this time. So,
you've been working on this already, is that?
yes, so I already have most of the information for the application. The only thing that we were pending were the conceptual, the renderings, because that matters, and they need to be presented in a certain format. And so that's why that was presented to you. Javier was, gracious enough to get that through a designer, and so we have those to present to you. And I think the budget too was also subject to being final, because we wanted to make sure that we had the public engagement today. And we actually asked the public to rank the amenities that we were going to include in the application. So to answer to his question about the budget, that's the reason why we're not really presenting you specific numbers. But we're confident that what is being proposed for inclusion, we're not going to exceed the 750. So.
And if I heard you correctly, they don't give many of these out. I think I heard you say 20, right, in
yes,
in the
it's
year.
highly
So there's no
competitive.
guarantee, despite all the dialogue, there's no guarantee we're going to get a penny.
Right.
We just got to go for it and see what happens.
Yes, and we can always come back. I mean, next August, this application is going to reopen again, and we can submit something for Vestal, and you can have a plan in place. You have obviously you have the community that is very engaged. We can also go through the same thing, do a public comment period as well. So, I mean, there's different ways that we can kind of approach that project. It just seems unfortunate that we've been working on this project for 2 months now, and it comes to this, so.
Mayor, I would like to add that normally staff gets together, we talk about the projects that we have available to us, and then we come up with a plan to actually go forward. So I take full responsibility for how this project was chosen. Staff got together and chose this particular park. In the future, if you want us to bring those to the commission for consideration, we can, but I would suggest that we just bring the larger projects and let us handle the smaller ones. It makes it faster, and sometimes we don't have our large turnaround. We did in this particular project, but we thought we were doing the right thing by picking Victor. In the future, for park projects, we can bring them forward to the commission for consideration, so.
I think that's a great idea, and this definitely, something that we can all learn from, but I don't want to be learning at the taxpayers' expense, and we want to make sure that we're able to obtain, like Commissioner Morales has been, I think, every meeting preaching about going after grants. So we don't want to forego any opportunities. So I appreciate everybody's commentary. I appreciate the community coming out. You're doing, it's great to see the community engaged, caring about what's going on. This just tells you that the city of Harlingen, we have parks, lots of green spaces, and that everybody's passionate and wants the best for their kids, whether it be in, District 3, 4, 5, 1, all, everywhere. And hopefully we can have a better grant game, right, coming next year and spread the love across everywhere. And Anna and I talk about this all the time about grant opportunities. So it's definitely something that we're wanting to do. But I would urge this commission, there's been a lot of information conveyed here, but you guys really need to make a decision so that way Anna can move forward. However that plays out, it plays out, and then put 100% towards what we're doing. So with that being said, is there anyone else that wishes, is there any other discussion?
So I just want to reiterate, this is our best chance of getting the money that we might get, correct? Yes? Okay.
Thank you so much, Anna.
If I may.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
The Legacy Foundation is also releasing, or they're opening the next cycle, so this could be, Vestal Park could be next.
Correct.
This year.
Anna, I got a question. Something that Mr. Castañeda brought up a grant that was never applied for, that 250,000? The US football grant that he was talking about? That was going to be used for strictly football. My question to you is, how can we make sure that grants like that don't fall through the cracks? Because, look, I have a lot of respect, and I know your ability is out there. I mean, it's tough to beat. But losing that grant that could have gone for Vestal Park just for football activities, and we lost out, how can we, maybe it's for you, sir, how can we prevent that in the future?
Commissioner, that's a good question. First of all, I didn't know about that grant that was available. And had we known about it, we would have certainly applied for it, because we don't like to not apply for grants that we think we can receive. And Anna has been phenomenal in getting grants for us, so.
It was Mr. Mendez who had it was on his lap, or on his plate. So it wasn't on Ana that dropped the ball. Mr. Castañeda mentioned Mr. Mendez.
Well, what I can do is I can get together with him to see if there's going to be another reopening of that grant and apply for that, in addition to anything else that might be available. And I think that that plus the Legacy Foundation might be two good sources. And then certainly next year, if we're not fruitful in getting any funding from those two sources, pursue the Texas Parks and Wildlife grant application again for Vestal. But I don't know anything about that particular grant, because I did not know it was out there, so I didn't talk to staff about it.
Getting back to you, Ms. Hernandez. Tell me about the Legacy Foundation grant.
What about it?
Is it a strong possibility? Is it
Yes.
out there, or is it?
Yes, it's a strong possibility. And they also, I think the typical projects they fund is infrastructure type of active transportation projects. So, for instance, they have funded the trails, right, in the past. That was before my time. And so they actually funded some recreational improvements at one of the parks, right, Olmito Park for Cameron County, so that's recent. And I think they got $500,000 for that. So that could potentially be something that we can tap into.
Is that a matching grant?
No, I don't think there was a match for that grant.
I think, looking at everything that we have here before us, this is less than ideal, but I think we need to take the best step forward. I'll make a motion, if everyone's done, to approve the adoption of a resolution authorizing the city manager to submit a grant application for Texas Parks and Wildlife Local Park Grant Program in favor of Victor Park. But I would also ask Gabe in the future that Anna have the opportunity maybe next month to kind of get with this commission and give us all the options we have for, let's say, the next fiscal year or next year, so that we can kind of give a better direction. So I'll make that motion.
Second.
And it's a second by Commissioner Bettis. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Anna, I just wanted to
Motion
say,
carries.
real quick, thank you for everything you do. I know it's because of you that we're able to get all these grants, so we really appreciate all the work that you do.
And I also want to reiterate for the community to understand that, the commissioners they're very passionate about the work that they do. This is all volunteer basis. They're here to work for you in their respective districts. We're doing the best that we can. We want to fund all parks. But when it comes to these grants, we don't want to lose these opportunities. But just because something isn't funded today doesn't mean that it's not funded in the future. And we're going to work very hard as a commission together to ensure that all the parks in our community are given the attention that they deserve. And we hope we can be granted this incredible grant. And this gives Anna the opportunity to have as much time as possible to continue working on this. And we have faith in you, Anna, that you're going to do a great job. So thank you, and I appreciate the commission working together and being respectful of one another and creating this dialogue to be able to get this moving forward. Having said that,
Yes, we did.
we just did. It was unanimous.
Commissioner Lopez made the motion.
Now, item 4, for the rest of the people in the room. Consideration and possible action to adopt an ordinance on first reading for a rezoning request from residential, single-family district to planned development district for a mixed-use development consisting of 1 multifamily lot and 42 single-family lots for 11.62 of acres out of blocks 1 and 2, Howard Dixieland Heights Subdivision Number 2, located on the west side of Dixieland Road, approximately 580 feet south of Garrett Road, across the street from Dixieland Park. Javier?
Mayor,
Wait,
we have to
wait.
take this off the table.
Yeah,
first.
I will.
Oh, I'm
I will
sorry.
make a motion to take this off the table.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Take what off the table?
This was tabled at
This
the
was
last.
tabled.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, and so, did you vote?
Aye.
Okay. Against?
Or do I want to bring it back?
Okay. Motion carries, and it is now off the table, and Javier.
Mayor, City Commission, Javier Cervantes, Planning Director for the record. We had, as discussed at the last meeting, we had 2 neighborhood meetings. I was at 2 Mondays ago, one on Schaffner at the end of Schaffner Street, and then the other one at the end of Gomez Street. During the neighborhood meetings, the developer, Mr. Lizarde, proposed an alternative site plan from what you saw in 2 weeks ago. Basically, what he showed to the neighborhood is he flip-flopped a multifamily lot from the north side to the south side. So originally, the multifamily lot was here. So in the alternative, he's proposing to have the multifamily lot on the south side next to the baseball fields. The majority of the residents were still in opposition to the multifamily lot. And here's the alternative site plan with the aerial. We had the neighborhood meeting here 2 Mondays ago, and then the second one here. But there's still concerns from the surrounding property owners.
Was there any discussion from the commission?
Yes, I just want to say that when this came up, I know there was a lot of questions about what happened, what this was going to do, and what this was going to entail. So I did hold 2 neighborhood meetings, like Javier mentioned. One was on Schaffner, one was on Gomez Road, and we did have some residents show up. But it wasn't just those neighborhood meetings. I've also received a lot of emails. I've received phone calls, and also on social media, I've had a lot of people come out and communicate with me. And first off, I know a lot of you are here, and I want to thank you for participating in this, and, coming over here. I know it takes a lot to actually come over here and to sit through what you just sat through and then still be here, because I know you're passionate about this. And when it comes to this, I am pro-development. I do want development. I do think that our area needs to develop. But at the same time, I heard you, okay? I heard you very loud and clear, and I understand, I'm a representative of you, and I heard you loud and clear.
Having said that, just so that way we have a record, I know that you had some signs, yeah. So if we could just, I'd like to know how many people, if you could stand, and it would be great if you're a husband and wife or however many kids that live in the house, if just one person from each home could stand so that I can count and we can just know what that opposition looks like. So 8, right? Is that correct? 8. Okay, and is there anybody here that is here in support that and I know the developer's here, but like that live in the neighborhood, if you could please stand. Okay, thank you so much. That just, so that way.
If I may say something, in the years of being a city commissioner, every now and then, we get 3 or 5 people or 8 people concerned about an issue. And my attitude has always been listen to the people. And as you pointed out, Rainey, that these people here are on their own volition. And last meeting we had petition with people's signatures. We have all these people sitting here. And once again, I say listen to the people. And we do need more housing, and I appreciate the Elizardis and everything they do in building houses, and may they continue to be successful at building houses. but there is so much public opposition. You know, I've gotten phone calls, I've gotten emails. It's not my district, but people are contacting me, and they're very passionate about this for whatever reasons they have. And listen to the number of the people, and listen to the passion. And so I'm all in favor of single houses going in, and I think that would be grand and stupendous for the Elizardes and for the community out there and for the city of Harlingen.
Is there any other discussion or questions for Javier from the commission? Commissioner, are you there? Yes, you have anything for Javier?
No.
No, okay. Oh, we don't have a public hearing on this, okay. So does anybody have any questions for for Mr. Elizalde? I see that he's here, or is there no questions from the commission for the developer?
Let me,
You would like some?
yes, let
Okay.
me ask him one
So
last.
if you could approach Mr. Elizalde.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners.
Thank you. Here's my dilemma. I didn't realize you want to do the apartments. And what I came across before the meeting out there was they were receptive, just like it was just stated right now. No problems with making the homes, except they don't want the apartment complex. You're in favor of having the apartments at there, and I can't see myself, we have 8 people here, but when I counted the number of people that signed up, against it was 25. The reason I have you up here is, would you reconsider doing just the homes? Because
Well-
that's what they've asked for, and that's basically what they're asking for across the board.
Commissioner Morales, let me just respond to that. One is that the project does not work for us that way, okay? Not doing that piece. It's not something that we could do without that. But I do want to address that because you mentioned that right now. I did go out there, as you know, you were there for 2.5 hours, answered as many questions as I got. But you mentioned the petition. I want to tell you, and I thought I had proved that, but I want to tell you that somebody wrote words on there that have nothing to do with what we're going to do. That was a way of getting attention and get people to sign it. That is not a representation of what we do or anything that we have done in the past.
I can agree with that and give you that leeway. Unfortunately, out of those 25, we got a third of them that showed up. So I still have to respect the people that showed up. And I'm not just gonna vote against it. I'm facing you.
Yes, sir.
And say, listen, they're all in favor of single family. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for you, so, might have to wait a year, might have to wait 2 years, and then try us again and see if things change.
And I do want to add something, though, to that, because something that Commissioner Perez and somebody else said earlier today. You know, you mentioned you do represent the whole community, not just 8, not just 20. And sometimes we have to make difficult decisions. We have to make decisions that are best for the whole community, not just one piece. And it was also mentioned earlier that in that area, nothing has happened in years. Nobody has invested zero in years. And if we go away, that's the way it's going to stay for years, because there is no infrastructure there. So sometimes the decisions are hard as commissioners, but sometimes you have to look at what's best for the whole community, not just one particular group. You know, so I could stand up here and go through it for you, but it sounds like maybe your minds are already, but I do want to express upon you that all of you represent the whole community, not just 8, not just 20, and not one section. I'm here to answer any questions that anybody may have. And I do want to add that I'm just here for subdividing and zoning. That's all I'm here for. Anything else would be addressed later on. We're only here to subdivide it and zone it. Whenever it comes time, and I think you heard this out there, whenever it comes time to develop that multifamily piece, we will come back to you, and we will come back to planning and zoning. We will present a plat, and we will do this again. But that's years down the road. The first thing that's gonna happen is the residential. The multifamily won't happen for 2-3 years down the road. And we will be back here in front of you, with the planning department. So I think that we're asking and we're doing things that are way ahead. I'm only here for zoning and subdividing, that's it. Beyond that, I'll be back, and we will show you what will happen there. And the things that were written on the petition, none of my subdivisions are that. We don't represent that, we've never done that, and it was a way of just getting your attention. But that's not what we do. That's not what we do, and it's not what we've started to do, and it's not what we've done in the past.
Mark, a question for our attorney. Mark, what do we do to keep this single residential housing? How do we make a motion for
Well,
that?
right now, it's residential housing, so you would deny the ordinance if that's what you wanted to do.
Okay.
So it couldn't be amended, it'd have to be denied. I guess, right, that's the question, is if there can be a motion for single-family based on what we have?
Well, it already is single
It is single-family right now.
Oh, okay.
So
I
the whole
understand.
reason
Got it.
the whole reason for the plan development is to allow the multifamily.
Got it, okay.
Isn't part of
So
it
I just want to share a few things with the commission. You know, this is a very difficult, I think, I know Mr. Liao kind of addressed it, and, you know, sitting here listening to everyone and seeing the community here, I really want, and I know that everybody here wants to be a voice for the people, and especially within your district, you want to represent the people. And I personally think it's a very difficult decision for each of these commissioners, because I did have I had, with the help of Anna, who wears many hats, I had her look at the rental vacancy rate for our community. And so, you know, when we're looking at our community, and Mr. Liao pointed out, we're growing. The population is growing, and if we want to grow, we need to have places for people to live. And we have a very large millennial population. We've got 60% of the population are millennials. And when you look at the research, and there's tons of articles out there that say most millennials now don't want to buy a home. They want to rent, they want to travel, they want to, they live what is it, you only live once, YOLO, whatever.
YOLO.
And so they don't want to put, they don't want what people that are my age want. You want a home, you want, like, when I was talking to the community members out on Schaffner and Gomez, that's, a lot of people, I know I don't see her here, but there's folks that their families have lived there since the road has been built, and so that's very important. But at the same time, we have a 6.4% rental vacancy throughout the city of Harlingen, which means there's not a lot of places to rent in our community. And then she also was able to pull the census tract of where that development is located, and the rental vacancy rate is 0%. So that means if you want to live in that area and you don't want to purchase a home because you don't have, you can't get one of these lots that Mr. Elizalde is proposing, or you can't build your own home, you can't find a place to rent. That means you can't live there. And that's a place where folks, maybe want to, because that surrounding area is growing, and may want to live there. So those are the concerns. I think that when I looked at the community, there was some concerns about some of the rentals in one of those streets that really need to probably not be rentals. And it's disrupting the families that live in that neighborhood, because they really take pride in their neighborhood, they watch out for each other, have very good community, and then you have, you know, the renters that are just causing chaos, right? And so that taints the way that one feels about renters. So I don't know what y'all are planning to do with this, but it is difficult, and Mr. Elizalde is right, that you all sit here and representing the entire community, but at the same time, you also represent the one person too. So it's a hard, you know, this is probably the only time that I sit here thinking, I don't want to have to vote on this one. You know, because it really is, you know, you want to help the people, but at the same time, we want our city to grow. You have 0% vacancy in that area, and these homes, when I was doing the research, they're very attractive. They're happening in San Antonio. They're happening in areas all across the country because people want to have that flexibility. They want the no-maintenance type of life, right, where they don't have to worry about the AC breaking down because then, you know, do we have the money to make those repairs? They don't want to worry about insurance. If you know, they don't want to have to invest. They want to be able to live and have a rental where they feel comfortable, but they also have the privacy with the detached, not sharing a wall. And these, I think you said, Mr. Elizalde, that would be, you were not going to be doing the 20-some. It would be 10
Yes.
to 14.
Yes, ma'am, right, it would be 10 to 14, right, at
And
the
then-
most. It's a very small piece. It's an acre and a half. We can't fit more than 14. Plus, it's residential. That's about the lowest density we can get. We're not building a bar, we're not building something at night. There's more land down that way. If you don't want a subdivision and if you don't want people to rent in that area, then you're probably not gonna want anything else. Because this is the lowest density. The city has invested a lot of money in Dixieland Road. Somebody mentioned earlier, 4 lanes, lighting all the way down, curb, gutter, drainage. You're gonna do all that and have no development, nobody coming in? What's gonna happen if somebody wanted to build a strip center? I mean, and like you mentioned earlier, we have no record of doing anything like what you're mentioning in this petition. That's not what we're going to do there. If you look at all of our other rentals, you'll see that's not the kind of product that we build all over the valley, including Treasure Hills, including your district, all over.
Is Javier Cervantes there?
Yes.
Can you pop up? And would you guys mind getting rid of the map? Sorry, I can't see anything when the map pops up. Hey, Javier, if I remember that, I grew up in that area on the corner of Dixieland and Adjourn Street, right down the corner. If I recall correctly, right across from Harlingen South, right on the corner of Dixieland and the street right next to it, there's already apartments there, correct? Like, there's like 16 flex or something?
Yes, just south of the high school, there's some apartments along Dixieland.
Perfect. And then if you go down on Haverford, there is already mixed housing, right? So there's an apartment complex. It's been there for as long as I've been alive, 30, 40 years, and it's right next to houses as well, correct?
Correct.
Right. And as I understand it, Mr. Elizalde, please correct me if I'm wrong, these houses are essentially analogous to the houses in U.S., correct? They're going to be 3-4 bedroom houses, correct?
On the
Mr. Elizalde?
on the 42 single-family lots, yes, they're going to be nice large houses.
So it's fair to say that this area of town has already been developed the way Mr. Elizalde is already wanting to, right?
In a way to the north, yes.
Mm-hmm. And we'd already talked about, and traffic is a consideration, we've already talked about putting in maybe a traffic light or whatever as is needed on the corner of Garrett and Dixieland. We talked about that the last week, didn't we, Javier?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and so, and I appreciate the citizens' concerns living in this area. My parents ended up buying land off of Morris Road And even they, up to the south of the town, between Rangerville and Ed Carey, even they're getting developed. You know, the first was Water's Edge, and then we had another one on the corner of two on the corner of Morris and Ed Carey, and now they're selling land on the corner of Morris and Rangerville, right next to the state hospital, I believe. Right, and that part's being developed. So it seems like this is an inevitability, and I think people's concerns are, and Mr. Elizalde, this is to you, and I agree with the mayor 100% on this, is that the homes that you build have to be nice homes. Because I agree with the constituents, because they bought land out there because they wanted to kind of control everything around them, and they don't want their investments to go down. I know the gentleman spoke last time. He had a $500,000 home. I know that home. I've driven by it for decades now. And I would have to say that this is consistent with the past 20, 30 years of development in this area and throughout Harlingen.
And to add to the commissioner, the economic benefits are tremendous from this project. And the businesses on Dixieland and Lincoln, they're gonna benefit from the additional rooftops.
Correct, right. We're seeing Tucker Road.
Yes, because he's the applicant. And we had the public hearing. No, I wouldn't say that. Mr. Cervantes, can you tell me more or less what the investment will be in the infrastructure in that?
Mr. Elizalde mentioned 2 million in water, sewer, streets, drainage, street lights, sidewalks.
And wouldn't that, I apologize, Mayor, wouldn't that investment expedite sewage going down Gomez Street, or I guess Tucker, going down that area? Because now we're having it surround that area. Now the city doesn't have to put that money in. We're already getting closer to it. Would that be accurate?
I know that the water system will be greatly improved from this project because there are going to be some looping. On sewer, I'm not sure. I defer to Mr. Brown to answer to that.
Does anyone have any questions for the engineer on the project? Mr. Lopez or anyone else?
Yeah, is it Jack Brown?
Yes.
Is he
My
here?
favorite engineer.
Yeah. If you can.
Because I can yell.
Jack Brown, Scheibe Consulting. The sewer, we're bringing it as far as we can, but it's not deep enough to reach Gomez Street. I do know that Harlingen Waterworks is developing a sewage master plan, and that should be addressed in their master plan. I haven't seen it yet, though.
What, if any, effect will this subdivision have, whether beneficial or detrimental, to extending sewage to this neighborhood?
Well, we'll have additional customers paying Waterworks for the sewage service. We will be extending a water line across the drain ditch to loop their water system so they'll have improved water quality and water pressure. Right now, everybody on Tucker Road's on a dead-end line.
What does that mean?
I'm sorry, what?
What does that
mean?
When you're on a dead-end line, your water quality is diminished because there's not a flushing action. So we're going to loop that dead-end line on Tucker back to a 20-inch line that's on Dixieland Road coming out of the water treatment plant. So their water pressure will be greatly improved and their water quality will be greatly improved.
Wouldn't this benefit Harlingen Waterworks as well? Because now they don't have to dump water as much when they have to flush the system?
Yes, sir.
So then we could also see benefits to our water bills, potentially.
They'll get the freshest water we got because it's coming straight from the plant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was there any other questions from or discussion?
I just wanted to thank Mr. Elizalde. I know you didn't have to go out there and to the town hall meetings, and the fact that you actually went out there and you spoke, and there was some instances where it did get heated a little bit, but you were there in the burning sun, and you answered all the questions as far as you were capable of. I want to just say thank you for that.
I agree. Thank you so much for putting yourself out there, and thank you, of course, to the community. Thank you for being here and engaging in this process. We appreciate each and every one of you. We understand how important this is for you. So if there isn't any other discussion, is there a motion?
Yeah, I will make the motion with apologies to the Elizardes. I will make the motion to deny the zoning request.
I second that.
Okay. We have a first and a second. And all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
Okay. So motion passes to deny. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
It's denied. It's denied. To approve. It's for approval.
What did I do with my? You can have yours.
Go,
What I did
continue.
it. Okay. Yes, item 5, public hearing and possible action to adopt an ordinance on first reading for a rezoning request from residential single-family to residential duplex district for a property located at 1722 La Paloma Avenue, bearing illegal descriptions of lots 22 and 23 East Avondale Subdivision. Javier?
Yes, Mayor, this is a two-lot subdivision, property on La Paloma Street. This is the neighborhood on the east side of Commerce, south of Loop 499. It's an older neighborhood. Two small lots that the owner is a vacant lot, and the owner wants to build a duplex in their property. So the zoning is single family all around. It's the old subdivision plot, the two lots marked. And that's the photo of the property. So it's vacant. The owner would like to invest in a new duplex. A duplex is considered low-density residential, so it's in line with our comprehensive plan. And we had the public hearing on July 12th, and no one spoke in opposition. So the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval unanimously.
All right. Is there any discussion, or can we open the public hearing? Is there anyone wishing to speak for or against the adoption of this ordinance? Having no one here to speak, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Need to read it?
I'm sorry, I will ask the city attorney to read the caption. I don't know that I did that on the last one either, so I think we're going to have to redo that vote.
No. 'cause
Without the applause?
The ordinance just has to be read if it's passed. If it's denied,
Okay,
so in hindsight, we didn't read it.
okay.
An ordinance
Are you-
amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Harlingen, rezoning from residential single-family R1 to residential duplex R2 for a property located at 1722 La Paloma Avenue, bearing a legal description of lots 22 and 23, East Avondale Subdivision, providing for publication and ordaining other matters related to the foregoing.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 6, public hearing and possible action to adopt an ordinance on first reading for the voluntary annexation of a 19.94 acre tract of land out of Block 28, Petersburg Syndicate Subdivision, located on the west side of Brazil Road, approximately 90 feet north of Spur 54.
Yes, Mayor, we don't get voluntary annexation requests very often, so when we do, we welcome them with open arms. So this is a 20-acre tract on the west side of Brazil Road, 900 feet north of Spur 54, and the proposal is a subdivision for multifamily lots. So here you have the letter from the developer requesting annexation, and then you have the annexation services agreement. There is a clause in there that if we're not able to give them the zoning that they want, that we agree to the annex. As you know, rezonings can be controversial, and we cannot guarantee that they can get the zoning until we go through the process. So if we're not able to deliver on the zoning after the annexation, there is a clause in there that we agree to de-annex the property. For the rezoning, we will only be sending notices to these property owners here. The rest are outside the city limits. So God willing, it will go well for the rezoning that the developer needs.
Okay. And is there any questions for Javier? No? Okay, if not, then we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak for or against the adoption of this ordinance? Having no one here to speak, we will now close the public hearing, and I'll ask the city attorney to read the caption.
An ordinance extending the corporate limits of the city of Harlingen by annexing for full purpose a 19.94 acre tract of land out of Block 28, Petersburg Syndicate Subdivision, located on the west side of Rezone Road, approximately 900 feet north of Spur 54, binding the land to all of the acts, ordinances, resolutions, and regulations of the city, approving an annexation services agreement, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, consideration and possible action to adopt a resolution approving the 2023-2024 one-year action plan budget for year 49 of the Community Development Block Grant Program and year 29 of the Home Investment Partnership Program. Sandy?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. On June 21st, I came before you with the recommendations from our board for funding for this year's entitlement, CDBG and home funds. Sergio, can you put the next slide, please? It's not a slide, but that one. Okay, so we went ahead and published the budget as was approved by the commission on June the 21st. We published it on June 28th. We gave a 30-day comment period starting on June 29th, and that will go through July 31st. We do have to adopt the resolution for the budget prior to submitting to HUD. We do submit to HUD on August 15th, on or before August 15th. So this is the budget as was approved on June 21st by this commission. So basically now we just need the resolution to be adopted.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8, consideration and possible action to approve an ordinance on first reading amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 6, Article 4, the Animal Control, Section 6117, Definitions, and Section 6-121, Inhumane Treatment of Animals.
I will make a motion to take this off the table and place it back into action.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this is now removed from the table. Please.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commission. Again, this was tabled from our last meeting. We did meet with Commissioner Lopez, and we reviewed some of the concerns, and so we've made some changes. I believe the majority of those changes are in item H. I'm available for any questions if you may have any.
And you're comfortable with this?
Yes, I am.
So does this give the animal control the more ability to, when they go out to a home and there's been calls out that there is an animal that is outside in these extreme heat, but they're not tied up to a fence and they have just a basic carport or something, does it give opportunity for animal control to do something in extreme temperatures or no?
Really, animal control is still only able to issue a warning or citation depending on, or actually a complaint on the situation where, because pets are looked at as property in the state of Texas, to actually remove them from that situation, we'd actually have to get a search and seizure warrant. So we're still able to only issue a warning or citation on that, but it does give us more strength to do that and a better leg to stand on when it appears in court.
How so?
Because it's more defined and it's more spelled out. So my understanding is it makes it easier for the prosecutor to be able to feel like he can prove up that case.
Okay. Is there, do the officers know the extent of their authority? Is there anything that we can do to ensure that they know that there are these options available to them?
They do. The problem is without the animal control officers being peace officers, they are still limited in what they can accomplish. In certain situations, though, when they deem it necessary, they do call the police department for backup and do get that assistance, and we can go from there depending on the situation.
Okay. And this, you feel comfortable with this, Josh? Okay, wonderful. I just, we want to be able to protect our pets as much as possible. So if you feel comfortable, then I think that's good. And thank you, Commissioner Lopez, for helping them iron out and fleshing out this language. Appreciate it. Is there any other questions?
The only thing is, and I don't know if Amanda or staff had the opportunity, the one that was originally in y'all's packet was it was a still almost final draft. I sent them the final draft earlier today. I don't know if you had a chance to include it in the packet. Essentially, all that final draft does is clean up some typographical issues and then insert an exception to paragraph H that staff wanted. And so I would just say, I would make the motion to approve the ordinance subject to the final draft submitted.
Commissioner, this still requires a second reading, so we can make sure that if it's not in this packet, will be in the second and final reading.
That works for me.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve?
Commissioner Lopez motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 9, consideration and possible action to approve an ordinance on first reading amending the, hold on. We need to read that caption, right, Mark?
Either that or do it on second reading, but we can do it now.
Let's just do it now, because it'll be on consent, I think, the next time. Sorry.
An ordinance amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 6, Article 4, Animal Control, Section 6-117, definitions, and Section 6-121, inhumane treatment of animals.
Okay, and we had a motion from Commissioner Lopez, and then a second from
Myself, I guess.
Commissioner Morales. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9, consideration and possible action to approve an ordinance on the first reading amending the Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18, Master Fee Schedule, Exhibit A, establishing a veteran discount program for HEB, tennis court, and swimming pool fees.
Yes, Mayor, City Commission. For the record, my name is Javier Mendez, Parks and Rec Director. A few meetings back, the commission had directed me to create an ordinance for a discount program for veterans for the tennis center. I later got a request from Commissioner Perez to consider including the pools, and so I did add that language in here for the commission to consider. So this ordinance reads that it would give a discount to veterans for the swimming pools and for the HEB tennis court fees. There is some definitions in here, and there is also, as far as the eligibility, what we would be looking for verification. And then it also mentions what the discount is.
And the discount is?
It's 100%, so it'll be free.
Okay. I just wanted to bring up, I want to recognize Mr. Arnold Escobedo over there. He's the one that brought this to my attention a few weeks ago. That's it. And he brought it up to my attention, how there was some veterans that were going to the tennis courts, and, they would go every week. It wasn't a big amount. It wasn't really about the amount, but it was just, they go all the time, and after a while, it does add up. And I thought this was the least that we could do for our veterans. And I want to thank Commissioner Ford Kingsley for sponsoring this with me, so that way we could go ahead and get this passed. So thank you, Mr. Escobedo, for bringing this to our attention, so we can do something for our veterans.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you to, for everyone that has served. We appreciate your service. I have a question for Mark. Do veterans that are on the commission, do they have to abstain?
We can. You
Should
can.
that-
It's not required because it's the same benefit for the general public, but.
Because I'd be like three of us.
Well, you have 3 veterans here.
You don't have to.
Lots of luck with that.
I mean, I don't think it's necessary, but
It's not necessary. I
You
was
don't
asking
have a
the question.
quorum then.
It's not necessary.
it's not necessary. Okay, great. I didn't think, I mean, I don't,
And the rule
I think
is
it's
if
gonna
it's
be
a,
unanimous
if it's a
anyway.
benefit that's for the general public, which this is, veterans.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. Thank you for that. All right. Is there any other discussion? Nope. Okay, so,
Motion to approve?
wait, we
Oh, I'm
need to
sorry.
read the
Yeah.
caption.
An ordinance of the City of Harlingen, Texas, amending Exhibit A of the ordinance number 18-28 and amending Chapter 18 Master Fee Schedule of the Harlingen Code of Ordinances, establishing a veteran discount program in the City of Harlingen to recognize and honor the service of our veterans and to promote support and appreciation for their services, and further amending Chapter 36 Parks and Recreation, providing for publication and ordaining other matters pertaining to the foregoing.
Can I
Motion
get
motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bless you.
Bless you. Item 10, consideration and possible action to accept or deny the donation of a scoreboard from South Texas Little League valued at $3,395 to be installed in Pendleton Park. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, discussion and possible action to amend the ordinance creating the Harlingen Teen and Young Adult Advisory Board. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 12, consideration and possible action to adopt a resolution creating a charter review committee to provide possible amendments to the charter for consideration by the city commission to present to the voters for approval for the November 2024 election. I did place this on the agenda. I'm looking here to get a committee comprised of members of the community. Each commissioner will have a appointment, and the idea is for them to have from here until, at least a full year to review our charter and make recommendations to this commission on if there needs to be any changes, updates, things of that nature. Ultimately, obviously, those decisions will be made by this commission. The last time, Gabe, you said was when?
2006, I believe.
2006 was the last time there was a committee of this nature to be able to review the charter, so I think it's time that we do that.
It was created in 2005, and they made the amendment in 2006 by the voters.
And the city manager, can you give them a little?
city-
We're doing the same as what was before, but I don't remember.
The city manager, city attorney, and city secretary will be ex officio members on the committee. The resolution does say that they would present a report to the commission in January. If you want to have.
January of?
2024. I would suggest we change that to July 2024, just to give them more time.
I think so, just to, the whole, a full year to be able to review. I think that works.
And I think Amanda placed copies of the charter on your.
Yes,
So,
That's this.
yes, sir.
correct. And so, so that's the intent behind this. And then recommend that each commissioner consider,
Each commissioner will have one appointee. You will have two. You will serve on the committee, and then you will appoint a commissioner to serve on that committee as well.
correct. And the only thing, I don't have it in, I know we talked about it. I wanted to ensure that We included, for appointments, it's anyone that resides within the city, our tax base, and or works and owns property.
18 years of age, be a resident of the city, or own a business located within the city.
The only thing I would add to that is also maybe own property. So if they own a residence or own a business or a resident in the city of Harlingen. So, is there any questions?
When would you like these nominees by?
I think the sooner the better, if we could have some, have it complete by the end of August potentially, and maybe we can extend it to August instead of July. That gives them the full year.
Okay.
And let me ask the why question.
The why.
Why do this and why now and all those sorts?
So I think.
So for the benefit of the
Yes.
public out there.
So, of course, as we are looking at how things are progressing throughout the state of Texas and looking to see how other commissions are able to get input from the community to be able to update our charter that really governs what we do, we need to make sure that we're including the community and not just placing things on the ballot as a commission. So I think if we have someone representative of each of the districts, that gives them an opportunity to take, to participate in that. That may be that there are changes that need to be placed on the ballot, or it could be that there's none. It'll depend. I know that San Antonio had a similar, they put a committee together. I know Brownsville recently did too, and some other communities within our state, and it gives the community an opportunity to participate in the process. And the last time was 2005, so I think it's about that time.
Mayor, that's the last time that they had a complete review of the chart, the
Right.
charter.
So there has been things placed on the ballot previous, obviously between then and now, but it was kind of just piecemeal, and the commission on its own deciding this is what we want to put on the ballot. I think it'd be beneficial to include the community as well.
Okay, so in theory, so everything could be changed, nothing can be changed,
Correct.
or some things could be changed.
Right, and they would serve as
And-
advisory.
Okay, and this would come before the voters in November of '24 to vote on any changes?
Correct.
Okay.
But the commission they would get the recommendation, the report from the committee, then this commission would decide which, what things they want to. I mean, it could be that they recommend something that the commission decides is not something that they want to proceed with at that time for, whatever reason.
Okay, so this will come then before the commission to agree
Correct,
to theoretical changes?
correct.
Okay. And so then, Gabe, you said, okay, so we would have 5. You would appoint a commissioner as a voting person, and Gabe, you said ex officio?
Yes.
Who would be ex officios?
The city manager or designate, the city attorney and the city secretary.
Okay, and then do you, all being ex officio, do you have votes? Or
No.
yeah, okay.
And the commissioner doesn't either, right? Isn't that right?
Yes, the commissioner would have a vote.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
Okay, and,
The commissioner and the mayor.
and so the mayor would be there, and she would be able to vote?
Yes.
Also for it? Okay, very good.
Everybody except staff would be able to vote.
Okay.
Unless this commission feels that maybe the mayor, myself, and the commissioner should not vote, I mean, I'm open to either one, whatever the commission feels is best.
Okay, so do you want all this ironed out right now, right here, right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it on the agenda?
So, is there a motion to?
Yeah, I think, looking it over, I'd written an amendment, but I think I can go with that. The mayor, the way I had it written, I touched up that one paragraph. Right now it reads, "It is resolved that there shall be 9 voting members of the Charter Review Committee. The mayor and city commissioner appointed by the mayor shall serve on the committee." Everyone see that paragraph? What I amended it internally to do or read would be the mayor and the city commissioner, and then be comma, elected by majority vote of the commission, comma, shall serve on the committee. In addition, each member of the commission, including the mayor, shall be entitled to 1 appointment. But if you want to do that the way you said, Mayor School, we can do it that way, that the mayor and the city commissioner do not vote. I'm fine with that also.
Okay, so Daniel, I'll ask you, you put on your attorney hat. Are you comfortable with this?
Yeah, I think if I would still want the city commissioner that serves on this board, whether it's a voting commissioner or not, to be elected by the commissioner, just can't, by the commissioner, just like we do with the mayor pro tem position. I think that kind of evens the field completely. And so whether the mayor and commissioner vote or whether they don't vote, I would still want that city commissioner position elected by the commission.
So then, does this mean you're going to make the motion with all your commas and amendments?
I can do that right now. So then,
I'm sorry, I was gonna say something real quick. I was like, why do we even put a commissioner on it? If it's gonna be like that, we can just leave the commissioner out of it. Norman will head the committee, and then whatever they come up with, once it comes to us, that's when we get our say, the commissioners. When it actually comes to us, when we make the decision. I mean, we can go, like, just like any of the other board meetings that we have, we can always go to meetings and participate, because we always do that, like, for the waterworks and all the other ones. So if we want to partake in it, we can go partake on it like we already do. But I don't think we need an actual specific commissioner that's going to be part of it. Just have have Norma head it up, and then if we want to go to it, we'll go to it, and we'll, like usual, partake in it, and then ultimately it just comes to us.
I think that
Well,
works.
this-
And the,
will this commission or this committee, will it also be bound by the 5 PM rule, Commissioner Pettis?
Yes.
I'm fine with that. That works for me as well. So then we would have the mayor as a non-voting member, and then we break it up the way we had done before. The mayor gets 2 picks, everyone else gets 1. That would be my motion. To approve, subject to that amendment.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, so we'll do what you're talking about, Commissioner Pettis. We'll do, mayor doesn't vote, no city commissioner, and then the mayor gets 2 selections, and each commissioner gets 1 selection. That'll
So
be,
is this-
I'll make the motion.
Is this something you would envision a monthly meeting? That would be the only benefit I would see having a commissioner, is if it became, if it was a routine thing, non-availability of one or the other.
so I think that I do envision it being a monthly meeting, so I think that's why everybody has to be very, take their time in making their appointment, and it would be, they would have to follow TOMA, and so it would be available for anyone to be able to obtain that information. Whether I'm a voting member or not, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter to me. But it would be a monthly meeting. If the commission wants to have a representative, I think the last time that they had it, the mayor made the appointment. So we kind of just replicated what was done before. Just as I've done in other cases where we have done, I made appointments for putting together a committee for the governmental affairs committee, and then I think we did one for EDC, and so similar to that fashion, so that the commission is involved, but we don't have to have the full commission. But either way works. Do you have?
No, I think like Lee said, 5 PM for sure. And that way, I think we should.
That's what he said. I couldn't understand what you were saying. The 5 PM, that means it's after
Yeah,
hours?
after 5 PM.
Okay, got it.
And then just keep it with us, like how we always do with waterworks and the PNZ, we go when we can. And that way, and Norma will obviously have to be there, but then also the appointees that we pick.
That works.
I think that gives the most flexibility.
Okay, so if I understand the motion correctly.
Wait,
Go ahead.
I'm just thinking aloud. But the mayor and a city commissioner, they live with this and they work with this. Where's the wisdom in denying them a vote?
Well, I mean, they're gonna be getting a vote when it actually comes to us. When it actually comes to us, kind of like when we did it last year, or not last year, like 2 years ago, when we did the term limits and the airport board, and whatever recommendations they make are gonna come to us. So we're gonna have to make the vote either way. So no matter what, we're gonna get a vote.
The wisdom behind it, as I see it, is we let the public make the initiative, make the initial changes to the charter. we have the final say-so. We have a say-so, but then it's gonna go back to the public, and they will finalize yea or nay. So the committee that will be established, those individuals are from the public. Those are our taxpayers. So that's where the wisdom comes in.
Just asking.
So are you okay with that, Daniel?
Repeat, so that we're all on the exact same page.
Okay. So the committee will be, each of us will get a pick. Norman gets two. It'll be held after 5 PM. And the only representative, I guess, from the commission will be Norma, the mayor. And then we, the commissioners, are free to attend, the meetings just like we always do for the P&Z, the waterworks and all that. Because either way, we always partake in it to begin with. So I think that's the way it should be. What do you think?
Yeah, I think what I really liked, Mr. Perez, was the way you drafted the language for the team advisory board meeting. So as long as we use that language for the appointments, I'm fine with that. And that's easy, that's just copy and paste job.
And you're okay with not having a vote, or you want a vote?
Honestly, I guess I didn't read where I had a vote, so I didn't.
Everybody would have had a vote on the committee except
Okay.
for the staff, but the way it's been worded now,
Yeah.
only the appointees by the mayor and commissioners get to vote.
That's fine. I actually prefer to not have a vote, and I agree with Commissioner Morales. I know it's interesting, but I think this is an opportunity for the community to be involved and for whatever they're going to present to this commission is representative of what the community wants. And so I'm fine with that. I think that works. I do think there's value of having a commissioner on the meeting just for consistency purposes. But you're right that people are able to, you're able to attend all those meetings anyhow.
Yeah, my concern is, Mayor, is I just don't want any accusations that someone has their thumb on the scale, right? And so, going with this route, it keeps us kind of out of it and leaves us straight to the commission. We can obviously offer our guidance and expertise and experiences, but I don't want any of us accused of doing anything maybe we shouldn't or whatever.
Okay, I'm good with that. I think that's fine.
Motion to approve how we discussed.
Way to go.
Second.
So just for the record, to be clear, I think as we discussed.
Yeah, Mark, was that legal?
I know what you meant.
We are moving to approve this, and we'll make some amendments to reflect that the mayor will have 2 appointments. The commission will each have 1. No commissioner will serve, and I will sit on that committee as I do in most of the other boards as a non-voting member.
And 5 PM.
And we'll meet after 5 PM and have some language from the teen advisory. I don't know what that was about.
It was just resetting of the picks. It's basically what you have right now. Each of us gets 1 pick and you get 2.
Okay, all right. You got that? Okay.
So you want a motion on that?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to what she just said.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next, we have board appointments. Hold on.
I have none.
Okay, and Commissioner Lopez?
No.
Okay, I do have a few. The Harlingen Housing Authority Board, I want to reappoint the resident, Maria Inez Borjas. And on the Construction Board of Adjustments, I'd appoint Francisco Solis. And on the Planning and Zoning Advisory Board, I'm going to be replacing Francisco Solis with Sergio Perez. And the Civil Service Committee, Chuck Mattingly to be replaced by Jim Young. Roel Rodriguez to replace Richard Newman. That's what I have.
And for the Veterans Advisory, Harlingen Police Officer D. Trigg. Go Navy.
Who was that again?
Trigg, T-R-I-G-G.
None.
Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that's our meeting. We are adjourned.